Welcome everyone to Discover This. Welcome back if you've checked us out before. Today we're just laying in the grass, enjoying a nice quiet day in a city park. Who would think that buried directly below me are bodies? So today we're starting our day in Pioneer Park, also known as Mission Hills Park in San Diego, California. But back in the day, starting in the early 1870s, this was known as Calvary Cemetery. It was the second cemetery designated in San Diego. El Campo Santo in Old Town was the first. However, El Campo Santo was so full the church decided they needed a new cemetery. It was originally designed for half the acreage here to be for Catholics and half to be for Protestants. However, the Protestants refused to be buried next to the Catholics. Now in 1919, the Catholic Church opened a new cemetery, Holy Cross, in another part of San Diego, and it signaled the demise of this cemetery here. So in the 1900s, early 1900s, as the cemetery was kind of falling in disrepair, people came in and built an adobe wall around the cemetery because there was starting to become a lot of vandalism at this cemetery. So part of this adobe wall still exists today. There's a portion of it on the south side of the cemetery. These houses and things down here, this would be Pringle Street in San Diego. But the adobe wall, again, portions of it are still in existence here from way back in the day. I'm not sure how much vandalism was kept out, but that's why this wall was built originally anyway. The Catholic Church retained ownership of this land and continued to bury folks here for many years after, but most were steered towards Holy Cross. The last documented burial here at Calvary was around 1960, but by that time the cemetery had fallen into disrepair. In 1957, the state of California enacted laws that allowed cities, municipalities, and counties to convert abandoned cemeteries into pioneer parks. The law also allowed the removal of headstones and memorials and allowed for a central memorial to those that were buried on these grounds. In 1961, the city of San Diego started the conversion of part of the cemetery into a park, this park here. And in 1968, the Catholic Church did a quitclaim deed to the city, effectively abandoning this cemetery. So starting in late 1968 and into 1969, the city started removing all the headstones and plaques that were on these grounds, marking the places where many of the people were buried. The city of San Diego brought the headstones here and dumped them here in this ravine. Down in here, it's kind of overgrown over the years, but dumped them in this ravine. You know, starting in 1968 into 1969, 800 plus headstones were just thrown in here and left. Now in 1980, the Metropolitan Transit System built a trolley line through this area. And the reason the city picked this area was because this is the south end of Mount Hope Cemetery in San Diego, a city-owned cemetery. And the Metropolitan Transit System built their trolley line through this area, through this ravine, And in 1980, when the grand opening for the trolley line happened, there was kind of a ceremonial trolley ride on this line. And as they were passing through the cemetery with all the city muckety-mucks and the other people that were on that ceremonial first ride, a bunch of citizens noticed the headstones that were thrown over here just to the side of the trolley tracks. And people were pretty upset. And it got the attention of the city, and the city hired a historian to go through all the headstones and try and find the more significant ones of historical value and try and preserve them. And the idea was they were going to put some of the headstones back up at Mission Hills Park, Pioneer Park, as kind of a memorial. So after the historian had done his thing and came up with a list of basically historically significant headstones, the plan was to put some of the headstones back at Pioneer Park as a memorial. The historian had designated about 600 headstones as having some sort of historical significance, but the community around the park was not real keen on having 600 headstones in their park. So there was some discussions between the community and the city as to how many headstones they were going to put here. And when they finally got to a number they could all agree on, the memorial was erected here at Pioneer Park, where it stands today. Keep in mind, these are the same headstones that were thrown into a pile, or multiple piles, in a ditch at Mount Hope Cemetery. These headstones are basically at the, I guess it would be the southeastern part of the park. Basically right up next to where the elementary school is, right over there. So the city put their memorial up at Mission Hills Park, Pioneer Park, with those headstones up there. But they also made a memorial here at Mount Hope Cemetery, literally in the spot where they dumped the headstones to begin with, hoping nobody would see them until the trolley line came through. And you can see the trolley line is right there. But this is the memorial at Mount Hope for the people that are still buried at Mission Hills Park. But these are the headstones that they were able to salvage and make this memorial. So Pioneer Park, or Mission Hills Park, borders up against Grant Elementary School, and then the city put in a playground. You can see right over there. This portion of the park, there are no bodies. The bodies are all over there, basically starting on the other side of that sidewalk and going west. But as you can see on this this map that's laid out by the folks at Hidden San Diego, you can kind of see the layout of the park and where all the plots are of the graves of the people that are still here, laid to rest. So all throughout the grounds right in here, there's people buried, still bodies buried here today. So in addition to the headstones you can see in the background, the city also put down these markers here that list every name of the people that are documented as being buried here still today. So these are the names of the bodies that are laying underneath the grass here in Pioneer Park. So officially, there's a little over 1,800 bodies still buried here in this park. Now, some people believe that number's closer to somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000, just because record keeping kind of got lax for a period of time, you know, as the Catholic Church was trying to steer people towards Mount Hope and not here at Calvary Cemetery. But there's at least 1,800 bodies buried right in here. Now, some people that had the financial means were given the opportunity to move their loved ones to a different cemetery. So a few people did, but most of the people, if there was even loved ones still around, most of the people couldn't afford to remove the bodies and rebury them somewhere else. So that's going to do it, everyone, for today's video on the old Calvary Cemetery, now Pioneer Park or Mission Hills Park. I appreciate you watching and learning a little bit about this history. There's ghost tours that come through here. If you're into that kind of thing and like ghost tours, this is one of the stopping points on the ghost tours in San Diego. So again, I appreciate you watching, appreciate you taking the time, and we will see you next time on Discover This.